Okay, here's the scenario. Your D&D group has decided to do a 20th level one-shot and you need an idea for a character. Maybe you want to play a 20th level necromancer with an army of undead. Nah, that's just too many things to manage. What about taking a level in every class? I mean, you can do that, but that's pretty absurd. That is just way too many spells and class features that don't really mesh together. Wouldn't it just be easier to forget spells and just focus on hitting people in the face? I mean, you could really just focus on being the most ridiculous non-caster in existence. How would you do that? I mean, is there even a way to... So here's the goal. We need a multiclass in every class that does not gain spellcasting normally as a class feature. So that means no paladin or ranger. Secondly, there is no one-level dips. We must get every subclass from each class we go into. If you're going to do this, you got to commit. Third, we got to do something useful. We may not be optimized, but at least got to help out in combat somehow. So now we know our restrictions, how do we want to build this? For those who want a summary of the build, here's my breakdown. This character is going to be mostly barbarian monk with a splash of fighter and rogue. The way this character is going to play is to be a backline archer who distracts and annoys enemies while everyone else is in the front. For this, we're going to be an Aarakocra. These bird people excel in flying away from danger as long as they're not wearing medium or heavy armor, so you're probably going to want to spend most of your time flying above the battle. For stats, I'm going to take the +2 and +1 option for the Aarakocra and put them into dexterity and constitution respectively. Assuming you're using point buy, you can get a stat spread of 14 strength, 16 dexterity, 14 con, 9 intelligence, 14 wisdom, and 8 charisma. That hits our multi-classing prerequisites and allows us to have decent ability scores down the line. I'm going to start with Barbarian since we need the extra HP, and we're not going to really need heavy armor since we can't use it while flying anyway. Yes, I know the majority of Barbarian abilities use Strength, but don't worry, this is going to work since we only care about Rage and 2 features from our final path, Path of the Ancestral Guardian. Those features being Ancestral Protectors and Spirit Shield, which we get for going 6 levels in Barbarian. Ancestral Protectors gives this ability when we hit our first creature on a turn while raging, they have disadvantage on attacks that are not us, and other creatures have resisted the damage dealt by their attacks. And Spirit Shield allows us to use a reaction to reduce the damage dealt by another creature within 30 feet of us by 2d6. Since we will stay out of range of enemies, they're going to have a hard time hitting our allies and hurting us because of rage. As long as we keep attacking while we're in the air, our rage not go down. Now we actually need to figure out ways to deal damage. For this, we're going to go into Monk and choosing way of the Kensai as a monastic tradition. Since Kensai monks get to pick weapons to specialize in, we're going to pick the best weapon for staying out of danger, the longbow. With a range of 150 to 600 feet, you will not have an issue picking off enemies from a distance. You can even use Kensai Shot to give our bow attacks an extra 1d4 damage at the cost of our bonus action. With 8 levels of Monk, you have great offensive abilities with Focus Aim to get a bonus to hit, or one with the Blade's Death Strike to get an additional 1d6 damage for the cost of a key point. For protection, you have Patient Defense to take the dodge action, Quickened Healing to get hit points back, and Evasion to ignore those lightning bolts that will be coming your way. Especially good if you see those coming since you have Danger Sense for Barbarian to get advantage on the dex saves. For the last 6 levels, we're going to be filling out the build requirements by going 3 levels of both Fighter and Rogue. For the Fighter class, we're going to be picking the Archery Fighting Style for a +2 to hit with our bow, Action Surge for additional action on a turn, and Battlemaster Martial Archetype. With 3rd level Battlemaster, you get to pull a 4d8 on a short rest and can use them for 3 room maneuvers, those being Precision Attack, Pushing Attack, and Trip Attack. Precision Attack allows us to add a 1d8 to an attack roll if we feel like we're going to miss. Pushing Attack gives us extra damage and knocks the targets 15 feet away if they fail to save, which is good to give allies spacing if they're surrounded. And Trip Attack for dealing extra damage and knocks enemies prone if they fail to save. Useful since they'll have to spend half their movement standing up, and melee attacks will get advantage while they are prone. Finally, for Rogue, we're going to get Sneak Attack for additional 2d6 on our bow attacks, Cunning Action to dash to disengage our hide as a bonus action, and Steady Aim for advantage on our attacks as long as we don't move and use our bonus action. For our Roguish Archetype, I'm going to go with Scout, mainly for Skirmisher, so if someone somehow gets in our face, we can use a reaction to run away without provoking attacks. As for the ability score improvements we got from Barbarian and Monk, I would use 2 of them to get our Dexterity to 20 and then take the Sharpshooter feat. This gives us the same range with our bow, and it can give us a +10 to our damage if we take a -5 penalty to our attack. Alright, so let's see how this character plays out. You're probably going to begin combat by raging and flying away to start shooting. You have 55 feet of movement, so it should be hard to get on melee range of most creatures. You can even go farther on other turns since you can dash as a bonus action. While you're in the air, you're able to deal 2d8 plus 2d6 plus 2d4 plus 5 damage without expending any resources. You can even get an additional 20 if you use Sharpshooter. That is an average of 46 damage in the round, which is not terrible. That's not even mention the extra d8 you get from Battlemaster maneuvers and the d6s you get from Death Strike. Assuming you were using those, that would be an average of 62 damage or a max of 86 damage in a round. I mean, it's not insane damage, but don't forget, while you're doing this, the first creature you hit on a turn will be having a hard time hitting your allies and will be doing reduced damage to them. I know this is not the most powerful build, but it's been a concept I've been wanting to put on paper for a long time. You're like an annoying skid that won't go away, and if your enemies start to focus on you, then they'll fall prey to the rest of your party. Either way, I hope you like this idea and let me know how you do things differently. Here's an inspiration for your next saving throw, and hope to see you next time.